Oh, that music must mean it is Royal Rumble season. It's January, and of course, that means one of, if not everybody's favorite pay-per-view. It's the Royal Rumble. There have been 33 of them now. Nick, the job guy's here with you. 34 is on the way, and we decided, why don't we do one of these tier lists? There's so many. There's so many good ones, and frankly, so many bad ones. Let's put them in order. And Nick, we've got them graded A through F, basically. Explain to everybody what you're looking at in case somebody tunes this in and goes, what is that?
Well, like you said, we're kind of putting them in order according to just a ranking system, not necessarily 1 to 33.
Right.
It's a grading scale, simple as A to F. The for life are ones that we will watch for life. These are ones you put in all the time. Too sweet or good, every now and then. Mid-card, worth seeing. Curtain jerkers, maybe there's one good thing, one good aspect, and the jobbers was a waste of our time the first time, and we'll certainly never put it in again.
That's right, the Red Tyler of pay-per-views. Probably shouldn't even bother watching those ones, and there will be a few of those, absolutely. Well, Nick, seems simple enough. Let's just get right to it. The first Royal Rumble, 1988, was not even a pay-per-view. Basically just put on the USA Network to go head-to-head against WCW. That's what happened. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is your winner of the 20-man Royal Rumble. Also had some other good things on this card, though, didn't it, Nick? It really was setting up Saturday nights, or I should just say the first main event.
Yeah, the card, again, people were tuning in more or less, I think, for the contract signing. Hogan and Andre. DiBiase was there. That was a big deal. You had the bench press, world bench press record by Jesse the Body, and Dino Bravo. Obviously, the Body was commentating on that. Yeah, I like that. I thought it was a decent, solid Rumble, some decent names, but a good one to get going. That's kind of where we're looking at, right, Ryan? This was kind of the setting stone for the whole Rumble. Something that wasn't supposed to go. Some people in the back thought this was a terrible idea, didn't they?
Vince McMahon.
Okay, so Pat Patterson pitched this idea, and this was an era we're going to remember all the way up to before 92. They're not for belts at all, remember? So this was just, I thought, a solid way to start the Rumble. Hacksaw Jim Duggan wins it. You got people like the Strike Force. You got Tito Santana, Harley Race, Jake Roberts. It's not a star-studded cast, but I don't think that was the main draw.
And it's a different era. I mean, it's basically a glorified Saturday night's main event.
Yes.
Steamboat Rude opened the show. The Islanders and the Young Stallions fight. The contract is the main draw. The title is not on the line. A title shot is not on the line in the Royal Rumble. I'm going to put this, Nick, because it's the first one. It's because they really didn't have any idea what they were doing. I'm going to put it right there in the middle. Mm-hmm. In the middle. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. First run. We're going to put that mid-card. And that kind of leads us into the very first pay-per-view, 1989. It worked so well, they said, shoot, let's make some more money off of this. They put it on pay-per-view. It's the final of the Big Four in 1989. This one, it is not great. Big John Studd is the winner. DiBiase he bought the number 30. Ends up being the last guy in there along with Studd, who had just turned face. Nobody wanted to see that. The rest of the undercard is not good whatsoever. But personally, Nick, there were some good things in that Rumble match, which you'll get into. I'm going to probably say it's right in the middle again because it's the first time on pay-per-view that they were doing this.
Again, making these ones exciting because anybody from Hogan to Jake Roberts could walk out of this, right? Because it wasn't for a belt. It could just be to push a guy. So yeah, that was in it. That was in there, and it gave a lot of more people a chance to win, or at least a thought in your head they could win. Starts out great, Axe and Smash draw 1 and 2. The Giant draws 3. I thought that was cool watching those two go at it, and then the Giant comes in and they team up on him. It did have some names though, Ryan. I mean, you got Honky Tonk Man is in this, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Perfect, as we said, Andre the Giant, the Twin Towers, Brutus Beefcake, Big John Studd. It really did
Macho
have,
Man Randy Savage.
you got to believe it. It had a lot of great guys. The fact that Stud wins is the downer, I think. That other than that, I would have this in the too sweet category. If a DiBiase won this thing, I think Stud bumps it down. I like the King versus King. I know most people forgetful match. I like Harley Race versus Haku, Bobby running back and forth to the corners. I'd put it in the mid card.
Yeah, the biggest thing to me is the DiBiase storyline and that they are setting up throughout the show, and then Hogan and Macho Man a little pushing and shoving, and
Yes,
that would then
they meet,
set
yep.
up what happened again on the main event, and then WrestleMania 5. 1990. This is the first one that when you listen to people talk, this is kind of when they turn the corner. A lot of people like this Rumble. The first one that they're, wow, that was a really good match. Personally, I do think it's a good match. Once again, the undercard here is brutal. It's not very good at all. But the match itself and the next couple are just loaded with stars from the glory days. And again, Nick, it has one huge moment right in the middle of that Rumble match.
Yeah, this is your Hogan Warrior that they're going to stare each other down and they do the crisscross, and it was a really cool moment in time. People, maybe you forget, DiBiase does again, amazing, sets the record at 44 plus minutes out there.
Right.
It had a cast of characters in this, a ton of guys, Dusty Rhodes, Andre the Giant, Axe and Smash again, Ultimate Warrior, of course, Hogan, of course, Mr. Perfect, Ted DiBiase, Roddy Piper, Randy Savage, Jake Roberts. I mean, the list, you can keep reading these if you really want to go. It was a very good, I thought the Rumble is amazing. Undercard was weak, but they were back then. The whole thing was banked on the Rumble once this thing got going.
Yeah, the undercard's very bad, actually.
Yes.
It's actually terrible. Couple of points on this. DiBiase bought number 30. He is number 1 this year. Goes 45 minutes. That, again, DiBiase was the storyline throughout this. Hogan and Warrior. This sets up WrestleMania 6. You had the world champ and the IC champ. Never before had we seen them on a pay-per-view fight each other. We saw that at WrestleMania 6. And then there's the little thing of the internet, which has kind of taken on a life of its own with the finish of this. Hogan was in a feud, a small feud, with Mr. Perfect. And Perfect was running with his perfect record at this point. He was really just starting to heat up. The Royal Rumble before this, he's a nobody there. And I know you mentioned his name as a big name, but he's really a nobody at 89.
That is true.
He's heating up here. There's all sorts of internet and people talking, cultaholics saying that Hogan held up and refused to lose. There are people on record saying that was not the case whatsoever. And if you're going to have title versus title, Hogan can't get thrown out by Mr. Perfect. And, he's staying hot. And anyway, that's been debunked. That is not true at all. Hogan wins. It's a very good Rumble. Nick, where should we put this? In the B line, in too sweet? Because the Rumble is so good?
The Rumble is amazing. Now, here's the thing. I don't know that you could watch the whole card over and over again, but you can always watch that Rumble.
All right, and let's take this into 1991. And, Nick, this is really, and I think this is one of the more underrated pay-per-views in WWE history. And this is the first Rumble where we actually got a good card. We got a complete card. The world title is on the line. There's a whole lot of storyline going throughout the night, and it begins right out of the gate, Nick, with a possible 5-star match to kick things off.
I would give it one. Rockers versus the Orient Express. I mean, the Rockers, for being a kind of B tag team back in the day, They put on some great matches. Orient Express, this one, and they were touring the country. They were bringing the house down, and they did here. Great match. Slaughter and the Warrior. I know you personally really like this match.
I love it.
You're not lying. It was great. There's a story being told the whole time. The way Savage has refused the shot, the way he interferes and gives Slaughter a live freaking round with the scepter, and shocked the world, right? I mean, no one thought Slaughter. I mean, maybe, I guess, looking back now,
right,
you could see maybe they were setting up Hogan.
As kids,
Slaughter.
we were shocked.
I didn't see Slaughter beating the Warrior. They just did not make sense. But it was, looking back, the way they wrote it, it was really cool. DiBiase and Virgil, you got that Virgil turn at the end, where he finally gets in DiBiase's face for the years of mistreatment, and that place erupts for Virgil, man. People cared. The Rhodes last match in the WWE, and shouts out to DiBiase. The first 4 Rumbles, he was amazing in all 4. Really played a major part of the Royal Rumbles, what I'm trying to say. And then the Rumble did not disappoint, Ryan. It was a great Rumble, a star pack card. I'll let you even go into that more. It was absolutely awesome all the way down to the finish. People that could win up and down, again, not for the belt, but I think that sometimes makes it more intriguing because it allows a chance for more people to win.
Yeah, it allows a chance for more people to win, and it ends up being Hogan. But that's the one thing about the early Rumbles. Like nowadays, there's like 5 guys, and most years there's one guy. You know who's going to win most years. And if not, like just a couple of guys. Back then, you didn't. Hogan does end up winning this, throws out Earthquake. You had the Randy Savage thing that you talked about. He was supposed to come out 18. Warrior allegedly stopped him and wouldn't let him come out. He didn't answer in 2 minutes, so he's eliminated. But my whole thing about this card is just the way stories are told throughout the night. And back then, that was not a thing. This was the culmination of feuds. They had feuds continuing and starting at this pay-per-view with the Savage, the Martel interview. Warrior, like you said, turns down the chance to fight Savage. Savage then costs him the title. That set up their career-ending match. I mean, things just going on throughout the night. The Gulf War had just started on the Wednesday before this pay-per-view, so you had the whole Gulf War theme. I just thought this one was incredible. I will go back and watch this. I have gone back and watched this, and not just the Rumble, not just this match or that match. There are 3 matches on here that I will go back and have gone back and watched numerous times since it happened in 1991. To me, Nick, this is for life.
Completely agree. It's
all right.
Amazing pay-per-view.
So that takes us to the next year, which not breaking news whatsoever. Maybe nothing even needs to be said. Without question, everybody's favorite Rumble, at least from our era and even younger people, Ric Flair goes from number 3.
Shirt on.
Yeah, he wins the title. Not much even need to be said here. Now, as much as we said, it makes things more interesting when the title wasn't on the line, and this kind of is what started all of that. To go back in time and, oh my gosh, the title's on the Rumble, it was must watch. And back then, I didn't have cable. I had to go to somebody's house. We couldn't even order pay-per-view. It was must watch, and it lived up to it, man. It was incredible.
And one of the big things, I'll just say this, it didn't turn into a circus, which we're going to hit later in some of these Rumbles. It was serious. It was for the gold, as it should be every year. This should be taken extremely serious. People should not be sock puppet fighting in it. And they made it that way. It was hyped as this major event.
Yep, no doubt. That is number 1. In fact, I'm even going to flip-flop it here just in case anybody thinks we're putting these in order. That is number 1. So there it is, number 1. Dang near the exact opposite the following year, though, 93. This one coming from Sacktown, Arco Arena. This is when time started to change here. The 93 Rumble, the first time for the number one contender to fight at WrestleMania. Bret Hart fights Razor Ramon in a very weak world title match. One of the weakest. Razor was not the guy we got to know down the road. He was not Scott Hall. He was very weak at this point. Rumors that Bret was supposed to fight Warrior and Warrior was fired. Then you get to the Rumble match itself. Yokozuna had been in the company and on TV for about 2 months. He wins. You had the Giant Gonzalez thing. You had some bad dudes in here. There is one very good match, though, that may save this pay-per-view, Nick.
Yeah, I don't hate this as much as everybody else does. I'm still from this era. I love this stuff. Again, I can't put it in the top two, but Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, a year or two late because of circumstances, but it lived up to the hype. It is, in my opinion, the best match in WWE history to this point, as far as worked matches. It is definitely I like both guys, but they're not two of my favorites. So I'm giving this one my props, though. I can watch that match anytime you ask. The Rumble, It does have some decent guys. I don't like how they wrote it, though. Flair, he draws 1. DiBiase draws 3. DiBiase's, I believe, or 4 maybe. He's only in there. Flair's like 20 minutes before Perfect throws him out, and I think Perfect goes out fairly quick.
Yeah, he goes out quick, and
that I didn't like
the next night
because he was over. Perfect was getting over at that point as a face.
Mm-hmm.
I know the business was kind of going down, but I felt he was kind of looking better. Savage is in it. Taker's in it. You got some decent guys. The finish is also a little suspect, though. Macho Man, a seasoned veteran, been in multiple Royal Rumbles, goes for a pin.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible.
I like a lot of the guys. Like I said, I can't put it high, though, Ryan. I would say it's a curtain jerker. It's worth one match.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue because of the one match. And we talked about forgotten pay-per-views. This is a forgotten match. I don't think there's many people out there that know.
One of my favorites.
They might not even know that match took place. For everybody who's a Shawn Michaels expert nowadays that thinks they know everything, I don't think people even know that match exists. We're 6 Royal Rumbles in, and they decided this is getting stale. We need to do something. Well, they certainly did here. The finish of 94, you have the tie. Bret and Luger. They couldn't understand. Bret was over with the fans. Luger was over with Vince. They didn't know what to do, so they left it up to the fans. They end up tying in what is a decent Royal Rumble match because of a guy named Diesel as well, who just comes in and starts throwing everybody out of here. But there is some bad dudes in here, man. But there's some other things going on, too. You have the Owen Hart turn. He and Bret fighting for the tag belts.
Yes, that's actually one of my favorite parts of this because I love the Bret Hart-Owen Hart feud. Finally, he turns on his brother, beats him up in the ring. That was great. The rest of the card is not good. One of it might be one of the worst moments in wrestling history to that date, where a certain someone dies and then ascends through a Titantron to the great unknown.
Yeah, that is one of the most memorable moments in Royal Rumble history.
Not for good reasons.
All the wrong reasons. He dies. Green smoke. You're talking about The Undertaker against Yokozuna for the title in a casket match. Yoko gets thrown in. Taker gets thrown in, and then the entire heel roster comes out and lays on top of the casket to make sure he doesn't get out. That, in turn, makes green smoke billow out of the casket. Taker then somehow, in complete fiend Alexa Bliss manner, goes from the casket to the Titantron, where then an X-ray of his body rolls up while he is speaking.
I wish he was making this up, too.
Yeah. then ascends, and you wonder why people think 93, 94, 95 are the worst years in wrestling history.
The Rumble was pretty good for what they had, though. It was. You had the Brett turn, and then the Rumble was good, and the finish was very interesting. We had never seen that before. That was kind of cool, Brett, and they made it look the way they still photos. They made it look as if they did. I couldn't tell, as a kid who came down. I think it looked like maybe Brett did. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to completely disagree. I think this Rumble has nobody in it.
You don't like it?
Well, none of these guys are going to win. I mean, Savage is there, but he's 2 years past. Michaels wasn't ready yet. I mean, it was Luger and Brett.
It was probably one of those two. Diesel was cool. He ran through 7 dudes.
But he was not even a wrestler at that point.
Right.
He like literally had just shown up that summer, and that was when he got on the map. I don't think we'd seen him wrestle. We may have. I'm going to put this mid-card, because of what I just said, because it is memorable. I like the Owen stuff, and then the finish. Because the finish, you're like, well, what are they going to do? Well, now we get real bad, Nick. 95, the fastest, most furious Royal Rumble of all time. The entire Rumble goes 38 minutes because they are coming out, I believe, every 30 seconds. Is that right?
Was it 30 or 1 minute? It was
30 whatever. Seconds. It may have been a minute. Yeah, I think very it was well 60 could have been.
Seconds. I mean, it just seemed like they were pouring out that door.
In who they are not good dudes.
By far the worst Rumble to date that we've went over.
Shawn and Bulldog come in 1 and 2. They end the show. This is Shawn over the top. Only 1 foot hit. Bulldog celebrates. Shawn knocks him out. And that's really the extent of this. The matches are brutal. You've got Diesel against Brett. They fight to a draw. That's a pretty good match. Outside of that, this is tough to watch.
Undertaker's fighting IRS, and Ryan, there's no one in this. And for people that look back, whatever the what culture, the all them, King Kong Bundy's in this one. Yeah, it was 95 though. He was terrible. Lex Luger, I think he's like curtain jerking Mania or something with the Bulldog, isn't he?
He does. Yes, he does.
I mean, he's done at this point. Other than that, Bob Backlund in 95. I mean, there is no Adam Bomb, Dick Murdoch, Mantar, Mabel Moe, the Blue Brothers, the Bushwhackers, Clang.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's
unwatchable. I would never go back and watch this if it wasn't to like make fun of it. And even then, I don't know.
It's not even worth that.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's not even worth making fun of. I mean, it's that bad. And people are going to be like, well, wait, it's Shawn Michaels. No.
And I like Shawn Michaels.
The only thing to watch on this is Pamela Anderson, and who comes out and celebrates with Shawn after he wins. It's that bad. And the next year is not much better. No. Another one. Shawn goes back to back. This sets up against Brett at WrestleMania 12. The final match in this is actually not Michaels, who kicks out Diesel with the super kick to win this. Taker against Brett is the final match. Actually a decent match. Ends in disqualification, though. Brett hangs on to the belt. This is another one. It's absolutely unwatchable. But if you do actually want to watch and laugh, there is a funny moment, Nick, in this Royal Rumble.
Are you talking about squat teams?
Squat team 1 and 2.
I think one of them gets thrown out and goes and gets back in the Rumble, but these are just 2 huge fat guys. I mean, this is, if you thought 95's card was bad or participants were bad, well, take out Luger and add the squat team, and that's what you got for this one here in 96. I mean, it is so bad. Bob Holly, Henry O'Godwin, and people don't look back. Again, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. This is not Triple H.
No.
This is not the DX guy.
No.
This is the what the blue blood from
Yes.
wherever.
And he was brand new. Like he had just
Yes.
shown up a couple of months before this. There is nobody in here that you thought had a prayer of winning
Doug
except for
Gilbert.
Shawn Michaels. That is
Doug.
it.
No, not Doug.
Nah, I didn't think he'd take it.
This is so bad.
The squad team is just hilarious, though, man. It's two big fat dudes who are dressed like in army fatigues or something. They walk like the bushwhackers. The guy comes down, gets thrown out immediately, walks back up the ramp. Then squat team 2 comes out the next number. So then they walk back together. He gets thrown out even quicker than the other guy. I mean, you got to see it. I can't even do it justice to how
And I'm
funny
pretty
and
sure this
stupid
is the
it is.
first time we saw a squat team. At least in my, I don't
Maybe,
remember them being a regular on the show or
well,
something.
in the
But
way they treat them like they're some killers, you know. Oh my gosh, here they come. And then
squat team.
they just get launched out of the ring, dude. It's hilarious. But all of that said, I'm sorry, man. HBK fans out there, this is a jobber. This is terrible. This
Unwatchable
is
again. The Rumble is
the squat
so
team
bad.
of Royal Rumbles. That's what this is. It's that bad. San Antonio, they're in the Dome. They're trying to sell 70,000 tickets for Shawn Michaels, who beat Sid to win his second world title in the main event. Huge match, huge pop, great scene. But before that, the Rumble was strange. Bret Hart was starting he had just come back. He was starting his whole everybody's against me, I'm getting screwed all the time thing. He throws Austin out. The refs don't see it, so he gets back in and throws Bret out. Austin ends up winning. Austin was really starting to heat up here early 97. He wasn't quite what he would become, but he was starting to get some eyeballs here and be a player. The thing with this one is they had a partnership with AAA, and there were so many people in this, Nick, that you don't know who they are. And not just the Rumble.
Clue.
There was matches where I don't know who these guys are.
I remember I purchased this one and I had my buddy over, Ed, and we were watching this thing. And he said we were just so confused on who half these people. I mean, and again, no disrespect. I mean, but as a kid, I didn't know who Mil Mastras was. Like, I didn't I mean, maybe I had seen his name in PWI magazine, but I didn't. He was probably one of the bigger.
He was the biggest
guys coming in. You know, Cybernetico. Like, who in the hell? You know, I mean, these guys are coming in. Perioth or something. I don't even know who the heck.
I still don't know.
It was, and other than that, it's really weak. But it does have that one moment in time when Austin gets thrown out. I mean, as a Bret Hart fan that I was pissed. Yeah. I wanted Bret Hart to win this thing. So that moment kind of, you know, I think made that a little bit memorable. In the main event match, it's not a 5-star, but I thought it was good. Shawn Michaels and Sid put on a decent show. I like Sid. I think he's fine as a big guy. I don't think he's one of the greatest, but I give this, I would say, a curtain jerker. It's not as bad as those previous two.
No.
It's definitely a step up, but I don't think it's very good.
I agree. It's got some moments in it. Obviously, the main event is a feel-good thing if you're a Michaels fan. And back then, it was sketchy because he was a face, but he was doing his boy toy thing, so a lot of men didn't like him because he's in Playgirl magazine and all this stuff. So a lot of guys didn't like him. 98. This one is very interesting because you knew Austin was going to win. We knew Austin was going to begin his run at WrestleMania 14. So there really wasn't much, you know, at all of a question who was going to win this thing. The Rock beats Ken Shamrock. Legion of Doom somehow is, you know, still around. This is pre-LOD 2000. They fight the Outlaws, who are wearing their South Park shirts at this point. They are not in DX. Austin throws out The Rock, to win this. And then there's another match. This is where Michael's career basically ends. He hurts his back going over the top, landing on the casket in a match with The Undertaker, which Michaels wins to retain the title. Now, as for the Rumble, Nick, tell us about this and what you don't like. Because it's funny, going through and looking at other people's lists and whatnot, many people have this much higher than I know you do. A lot of people like this Rumble.
Again, I feel like this is the era where they start turning this into a joke. And where things get a little out of hand. I believe, is this the one where I think Mick Foley comes in three times?
Three times.
So why can't everybody do that? Artist formerly known as Goldust, can he come in again as his old Goldust?
Yeah,
Kama
or
Mustafa,
his Dustin Rhodes.
Kama Mustafa, can he re-enter as Shango? I mean, I just thought that was terrible. I thought all the faces of Foley at this point were all bad. This is pre-Rock and Sock. You know, this
Way
is not what's amazing. When Mankind got over the whole thing, I just don't see a lot of good people in this.
I think there's a lot of revisionist history, Nick.
Yeah, I think we wanted to see Austin win, but the lineup in this Rumble's terrible. I think the card actually makes it better. The Shawn Michaels Taker match is really good. And the Rock Shamrock, although it ends in DQ, is a pretty decent match. But man, it's a joke. Honky Tonk Man's back in. I mean, you're pulling Skull, 8-Ball. Like, this is ridiculous. These guys are terrible. I got to put it somewhere, probably a curtain jerker. Highest I could go is mid card, Ryan. I don't know where I would put it somewhere in there. Either one, I'd be okay.
This is without question a curtain jerk to me. And all I have to do is go back to what I remember. I remember that this company was in trouble even still at this point. Yeah, they were doing a lot better. But you're coming off the Mr. McMahon thing, the screw job, I should say. You're coming off the DX pay-per-view, which at that point was the lowest buy rate in history. You had one guy. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's all you had. And you go and you look through, you mentioned the 3 Foley guys. Okay, people thought that was cool and everything. No one else on this is over. You got the Headbangers. They're not over. Phineas O'Godwin and those guys. You've got Skull and 8-Ball and Chains and all those guys. The DOA. The rest of Nation of Domination is not over. Goldust became the formerly artist Goldust because he wasn't over. Nobody in here is over, man. Los Barriquas is in this. Vader was a massive failure. Like, nobody is over here. This is bad. This isn't good. This is a curtain jerk, and you knew who was gonna win. 99. Speaking of circuses, this is the biggest circus of all time. This is Russo Rumble. You have McMahon and Stone Cold starting 1 and 2. They end up ending it, and it is McMahon is your winner. Neither of these guys were even in the match for most of the match. I mean, and then again, you look at the names. Everybody wants, look at the names in 90. Well, look at the names in this. They're not very good. None of these dudes had a chance to win. I mean, Mark Henry wasn't going to win. Steve Blackman and Tiger Ali Singh were not going to win. The undercard isn't good either. The only thing that saves it is an incredible world title match. It's the I Quit match, Foley Rock. This is the one you've seen where Foley takes like 12 or 15 chair shots straight to the head. It was a great match, booked well. I really like that match. It's one of the best Rumble matches of all time, but the actual Rumble match is a disgrace.
And so is the rest of the card, Ryan. I mean, no Boss Man versus Road Dogg, Shamrock versus Billy Gunn, X-Pac versus Gangrel, Sable versus Luna Vachon. I'm just not a big fan of even McMahon winning this thing. I think what a waste.
That's the worst part.
What a waste to let Vince McMahon win a Rumble.
I mean, they were telling a story. I get that. It was the Austin McMahon story, but
but giving Russo the belt's the worst thing that ever happened.
2000, To me, this is the opposite of 99. This is my favorite top to bottom, the undercard and the Rumble match. This is what I believe, the most complete Royal Rumble top to bottom that there is.
It's a very good Rumble, Ryan. Triple H versus Cactus Jack, and I do not like Cactus Jack. I'll quote Flair, glorified stuntman. This match is amazing, though. This might be his best and Triple H's best in the WWE. I think it's a great match. The Hardy Boys and the Dudleys that's a great match as well. So you've got two amazing matches on the card, and the Royal Rumble was pretty good, man. It flowed well. They didn't turn it into a freaking circus the whole way through it. It's got some decent names. It's not the most star-studded packed Rumble, but I think the guy that needed to win won too, though. Mm-hmm. The guy that everybody wanted to see, and sometimes that's the right thing to do. The Rock takes home the trophy, if you will, or the spot at Mania.
Yeah, The Rock is the biggest dude, and Austin is hurt at this point, so The Rock is the number one guy in the business, and I think 2000 was his year, and he fights Big Show, who had the world title at Survivor Series, so Show could have won this. There's not a ton of other huge guys in it. Kane is in it, but I'll always say, I don't care how many people he throws out, Kane is not going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. He just isn't. There were cool spots in it, though. If you like Rikishi and you like Too Cool, and they were over at that point, they did their dance breakdown in the middle of the thing. You had the Funaki thing they kept showing over and over again, where the guy took a live round on his face to the mat, flying out of the thing. And lastly, the opening match is Dudley's against Hardy's. Both of these teams are dang near brand new. So while we've now seen Jeff Hardy do a swanton off everything imaginable, when he jumped off the historic entrance to Madison Square Garden, off the entrance through a table, that was a big deal. We had never seen anything like that at that point. And you mentioned the main event. To me, I have watched this one just as much as I have watched any other Royal Rumble. To me, this is for life. It is incredible. Just because of the whole thing, top to bottom.
I agree.
2001, which is one a lot of people think may be the best one ever. I don't understand that. I don't think it's terrible or anything, but a lot of people think this one's great. To me, at no point was Kane going to be in the main event at WrestleMania, so I didn't think he had a chance to win this. But 2001 is won by Austin, three-time winner. I just don't see it here. There's kind of some circus stuff going on, and Drew Carey enters the Rumble. Really, to me, Angle and Triple H is a good match, but there's interference and things. Benoit Jericho is really good.
The Angle Triple H match, it's a good match too, but the whole, no pun intended, angle is around the McMahons, really, right? It's developing around the McMahon family. And it just, to me, it takes a little away from the match, but the match is good. I agree. The Dudleys and Edge and Christian, it's a really good match. Jericho, Benoit, those are good matches. The Rumble itself, I do like the Rumble. I mean, it's, again, it's not the most star-packed one, but, you got The Rock in there. You got the Big Show in there. The Undertaker's in there.
There's a lot of dudes in it. There's no doubt. But, until The Rock comes out, though, at 13, it's literally nobody.
I remember watching that thinking, you were thinking, come on, you got to give me, in future Rumbles, you've started early with a Flair or a DiBiase, right, or something like that. Andre comes in at 3. This one, you're waiting. You're like, come on, someone get in here that I want to cheer for.
Right. Well, and Kane did. And I know there's tons of people that love Kane. So I just wasn't one of them. He is in there at 6, and he's throwing dudes out. But you also got a lot of hardcore stuff going on in the ring. You got trash cans and all this stuff in the ring, in the Rumble. I don't understand how people have this in the top 2. A lot, people are either It's
The card's
92 or
good.
it's 2001.
The card's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. I can't put it in. It's not as good as those other three that we
No,
got
it's
up in the
not a
four.
too
To me,
sweet.
it's not.
I mean, it's not a for life. I think it's a too sweet though. I think people have an argument. It's a good Rumble. It's a good card. I think it's a too sweeter.
Okay. So that is on the too sweet line along with 1990. We go to 1992, 2002. Nick, you take it away. I know you love this one.
I do for one major. I mean, this is the return of my guy Kurt Hennig. I was watching this with you, and Ryan. I can't lie. The kid got a hold of me. I thought the little kid inside me. I wanted him to win. I mean, looking back now, you're like, there ain't no way they're letting this guy win a Rumble, But
I thought he had no chance then, but it was sweet. Don't get me wrong.
It was my kid. Little Hortz was pulling for him, but you got Triple H. You knew he was going to win, but I felt the Rumble itself was fairly decent. It was a good Rumble. Undertaker's in this. Some people like the Maven thing. I thought at first it was cool when Maven kicked him out, but then they completely ruined everything, and he just murdered Maven for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it just took it away. DDP's in it. Austin's in it. I'm going to Triple H, of course, wins. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Angle, Big Show, Rob Van Dam, Booker T. I love the pack. I think the card is packed. I think there's a ton of guys in it. And then you have Rock and Jericho, and I think that's a big step for Jericho, holding the title, defending against Rock. I think that's coming off after is that after he beat Austin and The Rock on the same night?
Yep.
Yeah. Flair and McMahon is pretty good for what it is.
You knew Triple H was going to win. He's coming off the quad tear.
Yep.
You knew he was going to win, but yes, that Mr. Perfect
could have been perfect.
That Mr. Perfect reveal was unbelievable. Nobody saw that coming, man.
I remember I pushed up your buddy's ceiling was low in that basement, and I remember I stood up and almost put my hand through his ceiling.
Yeah. Hearing that music hit, nobody thought that was happening. And then he lasts to the final three, and the place was ticked when he got thrown out.
They knew, yes. Hortz was upset too. Dang it.
Everybody, that was very memorable. We'll put that in too sweet. Well, in 2003, we have the first split roster show. Raw and SmackDown have split. They are now WWE instead of WWF. This one we kind of knew where this was going to. We weren't positive, but it's Brock Lesnar's night. He throws out the Taker to win it. He had to win a match to even get in this thing. I won't lie to you here, though. Outside of the Scott Steiner match, I don't remember a ton about the undercard. Scott Steiner, I absolutely remember. He was one of the last WCW dudes to come over. They put him right in the main event, Nick.
We were excited.
And then it was nowhere but down. He fights Triple H here for the title. He loses this by DQ. Then he loses the next one. And then he hasn't gotten up since.
And then he's teaming with Test.
Yeah.
It was that put a stale taste because we love Steiner coming over from WCW. I thought he was great.
Dude, everybody thought he was going to be huge. And he had some health issues, but still. He was one of the first Triple H victims from 2003 on, Scott Steiner. What do you think about this one, though, Nick? To me, it's kind of unmemorable. It's not really memorable.
It's not. Angle versus Benoit, I somewhat remember it, but I think it was a pretty solid match. But, yeah, I remember Lesnar. And I remember when Lesnar hit the ring, I felt like he was going to win. Like it just was something like this guy. I'm looking at the card. The thing that will keep it high, though, the Rumble did have a lot of good guys in it. It did have a lot of Undertaker's there, Brock Lesnar's there. You move up. John Cena's not really John Cena yet. I think he's just recently arrived, right?
He just showed up 6 months
showed
before.
up. RVD. Shawn Michaels, it looks like he got – I remember getting upset. He was tossed pretty early by Jericho.
Like didn't make it to number 4.
And the Rumble, like I said, it wasn't memorable. It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't. I mean, Jericho goes a long time.
There's nothing
Okay.
I'll go watch again on this
No,
show.
I don't think it's. That's why I would throw it right smack in the middle, right? I mean, right where it is, just not great, not horrible. It's a Rumble.
Wow. I would probably put it lower than that. We'll come back at the end and take a look at that one.
Okay.
Oh 04. Now we're starting to get into that ruthless aggression. We're starting to see those guys that you just mentioned, one of them, John Cena. We're seeing those guys start to make a name for themselves now. They're starting to take over a little bit. This one, won by Chris Benoit. He comes in at number 1. We got to run that into the ground where people go wire to wire. But he does. This is his Rumble. We kind of knew it was going to be. He wins it. It is a very good Rumble. I like this Rumble. I think it's a good match. As for the undercard, you had Batista and Flair. They were the tag champs. They beat the Dudleys. Rey Mysterio. That's when one of the 80 times they had a cruiserweight title. He wins that. Eddie beats Chavo. Lesnar beats Hardcore Holly. And how that guy got a title match, who knows? Triple H Michaels, last man standing, somehow ends in a draw. But Benoit with the choke over the top rope, he wins the Royal Rumble.
I thought the Rumble was solid. Again, I don't like we're halfway through the list or so, and you've got more winners at 1 through 3 than you do at 27 through 30, which makes is hard to kind of reckon with. But Triple H, Shawn Michaels ending in a draw was, I don't know if the match was really good, but it's just kind of a letdown. I hate when things end in a draw.
Right.
Again, the card's okay, but Hardcore Holly, I mean, you've got guys people like Mysterio, but he's fighting Noble. Lesnar, but he's fighting Holly. Eddie, but he's fighting Chavo. I mean, it's not the greatest matchups. But Benoit winning, I mean, they tried to go with him. Me and you were saying this from day one on this guy. He's just not a world champion, man. The guy has zero charisma. Can't really talk.
Can work can work like crazy, but can't talk.
He's great in the ring, sure, yeah.
And it does have Ernest the Cat Miller in it, so that that to
the only
me,
people that love that guy because
I think we're the only two, and his mama. We're the only two.
Lock all the doors. No one goes home.
And somebody call my mama. I'll put this in the middle.
I feel that's fair.
So then 05. And this one, is known for the finish. They pull out the 94 finish accidentally. They somehow do the 94 finish. Batista and Cena, they were the up and coming. The year previous, they went with Eddie and Benoit. Didn't work. So they're starting all over again with these younger guys. The two were Cena and Batista. They go with Batista here. He wins after Vince then has to come out. He tears both quads getting in the ring because they didn't know what to do because both guys went over the top rope. Batista was supposed to win. They end up doing it, but Vince just sitting there. Nobody knows what's going on. Do you remember watching this live, dude? And we're just like, what's he doing? Why is he sitting there? And he didn't look like he was hurt.
Was he trying to scoot? Like it seemed like he was like
he wasn't selling the injury. Like you couldn't tell. He wasn't holding his legs or anything. But anyway, so Batista wins. He throws Cena out. They're restarting. They're completely redoing everything here. And then Batista and Cena both end up winning the titles at that WrestleMania 21. Other things, Edge Michaels is on this. Taker against Heidenreich. Bradshaw is your champion. He fights Show and Angle in a triple threat match. Triple H against Orton. You got some big name dudes.
It's a good card. It's a good card for the Rumble. The Undertaker Heidenreich is terrible, but
I don't buy JBL. I mean,
no, you don't. But I mean, the other two, it didn't. I remember it turned out to be an okay match, but you're right. JBL's a terrible champ. The Rumble itself had some decent people in it. Again, Edge, Rey Mysterio, Booker T, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, I mean, that's John Cena, Batista, Ric Flair. Um, I I think it's a pretty decent Rumble. Too sweet or mid card, one or the other. I can't.
Yeah.
It's not a for life. It's certainly not a for life.
Oh my gosh, no, no. I probably put it in mid card. I think because I don't want to see JBL. I don't want to see the Undertaker fight Heidenreich. All right, moving on to 06. This is the Rey Mysterio Royal Rumble. Once again, number 1 and number 2 go the distance. I mean, it's cool, but my gosh, you do it all the time. Quit doing this. Triple H and Mysterio go wire to wire. Rey wins it, and he does it for Eddie. And then he goes on to win the title at WrestleMania 22. Very good Rumble. Lots of good dudes in it. Lots of good work. Rey winning is definitely memorable. Then you go through and you look at that is for the first time, not the second to last match. The Royal Rumble is in the middle. It's mid card here, which is maybe tells you what they thought about Rey Mysterio. Kind of strange. Cena beats Edge for the WWE Championship. Edge came in the champion. This is right in the middle of their very long
It's a good
feud.
match.
It is a very good match. And then Angle beats Mark Henry, and Henry was not quite there yet. It was a few more years before he became the Hall of Pain.
Halls of
It
Pain
really was sweet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Amazing.
he wasn't there yet here at this point, Nick.
No, I don't think so either. It just the Boogeyman versus JBL, Mickey James, Ashley. The Rumble's pretty decent, though. I mean, did you buy Bobby Lashley?
I still don't buy Bobby Lashley.
See, then there's the you got
Well,
that.
I didn't buy Rey Mysterio to be. I mean, I love the guy in WCW.
You know me. I don't think this is a good idea to do this, but he's
I
too
absolutely
small.
loved him in WCW until like the Filthy Animals or whatnot. I know what they're doing, and it was cool, but
they made a great cruiserweight division in WCW. It actually meant something. You knew the participants in it.
Right.
This, I don't know. Ric Flair, he's not going to Mania. Big Show at this point is not going to main event WrestleMania. Kane's not going to main event it. Chris Benoit won the previous year, so I guess he's a contender. At this point, I didn't think they were going to let Booker T win it. It's got some names when you read it. Very few that could have went on to main event WrestleMania, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a curtain jerk to me, and it's a high curtain jerk.
It is.
It's nearly mid card. So moving along to 07. Another one in San Antonio, Texas. They love going to San Antonio for these Rumbles. This one is headlined by Michaels and The Undertaker, really putting on almost a match at the end of this Rumble. They're the last two in it. And dang it, they go for a long time. I don't even know how long the two of them were in there just together. And they put on a great show. This also has ECW is now in the company. So you got a bunch of ECW dudes in here. But really the highlight of this one is that finish. Hardy Boys against Eminem. Bobby Lashley is the ECW champ. He beats Test by countout. As if it wasn't bad enough to have that title anyway, it's a count out. Batista beats Kennedy. Cena beats Umanga for the title. Nick, man, this one is, if it's not for that last two dudes, and even then, this is borderline jobber to me,
dude. What you said, and that's all I'm going to say. We had never seen two guys go for that long at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was a match within a match, if you will. The card is awful. I'll just say it's just awful. None of those guys, Umanga or Amanga, Mr. Kennedy, Test, these guys who are challenging for belts were terrible.
Look at that. That's a good look at these three guys. And Kennedy became somebody and then he fell off. But Test, Kennedy, and Umanga are fighting for your world titles.
I'm with you, dude. This gets a curtain jerk, because of the end.
And it to me, it's barely curtain jerk.
Yes.
Moving to 08. And here we go. We got quite the moment here. Madison Square Garden, sold out crowd. Your winner surprised everybody, man. Shocked the world. And I did not get this pay-per-view because the business was somewhat down, and I didn't care. I was like, you know what, man? I'm just not feeling this right now. I found out what happened, and I went, you got to be kidding me. I told my roommate at the time, and I said, dude, this happened. No, it didn't. Yeah, it did. Let's get the replay right now. Back when pay-per-views, you didn't have the network, the replay came on right after. So we bought the replay like halfway through the show. And we already knew the result, and we still wanted to see it. John Cena, 2 months after major surgery, tore his pec, I believe. May have been his tricep, whatever it was. Surprised everybody, shows up and wins this thing. One of the biggest pops you'll ever hear. He throws out Triple H to win this thing. You had other great moments in it. You had Piper and Snuka going at it inside Madison Square Garden. Just incredible. Orton beats Jeff Hardy. Edge beats Rey Mysterio. Not the greatest of title matches, on paper. JBL beats Jericho. Flair beats MVP. That stuff, that's the reason why I didn't want to buy this pay-per-view, Nick. But, dude, the way it finished.
I remember trying to figure out, who's going to win this? Do I really care? And I was the same as you. I wish I would have saw it live. I didn't. I didn't get it for the same reason. I didn't know Cena was coming back, and I wasn't interested. But when you go back and watch this Rumble, it's a good Rumble, and Cena blows your mind. It's so cool to see him come out at the end. Well-deserved win. The card is, as much as I don't like it, it's okay. Like, Edge and Mysterio is a good match. Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy is a good match. So, and I love the surprise ending. I thought there was at least a handful of guys who could win it. I would put it somewhere around too sweet, probably.
Yeah, it's too sweet. And the one thing we didn't mention, this one starts the way the last one finished. Taker and Michaels are 1 and 2. Yeah. They go over 30 minutes apiece. So they continue that story from the year before. Yeah, this without a doubt is too sweet for me. Following year, Joe Louis Arena, Detroit, Michigan. I was there. We knew who was going to win again. Randy Orton was doing his thing where he was punting everybody in the head, hearing the voices. He punted McMahon. He punted Stephanie. He comes out number 8 here. He wins it. The place loved him. He is supposed to be the biggest bad guy there is, and they absolutely love him. I was one of them. There are some things in this match that aren't great, though. Dolph Ziggler, 21 seconds. Very next guy, Santino, who is over as over can be. Now, he's over for being a job guy, but he comes in and he gets eliminated in 1 second, setting the record. I wanted to see this guy. I mean, I guess if you're going to eliminate him, that's the way to do it. Like, make it the worst elimination ever. But the undercard here, Nick, it was painful. The undercard was not good here. I was here. It wasn't a pay-per-view I even think about.
Again, John Bradshaw Layfield is your champion on one show. That's just terrible. And he's challenging.
He's in the title match, yes.
He's in the title match. And I think Shawn Michaels had lost something to him that made him his valet or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it just was and I thought that was stupid. Edge, again, Jeff Hardy. I'm sorry, guys. I just never bought Jeff Hardy as the guy, and this is the Rumble. You're springing into Mania. I just don't see Jeff Hardy main eventing WrestleMania. The Rumble was fair. I guess it was okay. And we wanted Orton should have won. The card is just really weak. And when you've got a weak card, if the Rumble isn't mind-blowing, and it certainly wasn't, I probably a curtain jerk. Maybe if you want to bump it to mid card, your call, Ryan. You were there.
The big angle in this too was the Hardy Boys. Matt turns on Jeff, and I was never a huge fan of them to begin with, but the crowd, you kind of knew that might happen, and the crowd wasn't into it. The people that like those guys like them together. They do not want to see them apart, and it didn't work. It did not work, those two apart from each other. This one is a curtain jerk to me. I mean, I was there, and the moments that I remember, I don't really like, other than
Brian,
Orton. And Orton was awesome, but everything else is just forgettable. 2010, one of the better Rumble matches of the last decade, I would say. Edge, coming off that torn Achilles, is your winner. He is a surprise entrant. He comes out at number 29, and he wins this thing, throwing out John Cena to take it, and he goes on to WrestleMania 24. Very good Rumble. The highlight early on is CM Punk. Nick comes in. He's sitting in the ring by himself. This is when he was doing Straight Edge Society, and he's bowing in the ring or getting down on his knees, telling everybody to all hail CM Punk, your Messiah, or whatever he was doing. So he was running the early part of the show. The rest of the card, Nick, once again, not the greatest undercard, but the Rumble itself, I think, is very good.
I think the Rumble's great. I'm just with you. It's the undercard. The Miz is the champ, one of the United States champ. Sheamus, not a huge Sheamus guy, defeats Randy Orton by DQ. Just again, kind of a bummer that it ends in DQ. Undertaker versus Mysterio, putting Mysterio back in there. I guess a lot of people like this match, but I think it's a weak undercard. And I think the undercard itself is what keeps it out of the too sweet category. I think the Rumble's great. I'm sorry, for life. The Rumble's great, but the card is just at best, I guess.
Yeah, and I have trouble even putting it that high. It's tough for me. I will put it up in too sweet because of the Edge return, because that Rumble is one of the better Rumbles.
Great Rumble.
But and I've watched it a few times. I will tell you this: I have not watched the undercard at all.
I wouldn't.
But that's how good. That's how good the actual Rumble match itself is. The rest is unwatchable. 2011. This is 40? The 40 man. Not the greatest Royal Rumble. No, friends. That's something completely different. The biggest Royal Rumble ever. For some reason, they decided that they needed 40 people. Freaking Alberto Del Rio, who I never understood. Now it's cool to make fun of Alberto. Now it's cool to say,
we
he
said
sucks.
This the moment he came in.
The second I saw him. He's JBL ripoff. The guy can't talk. He's not good. I don't understand. He doesn't suck in the ring, but it's not like he's something special. I don't understand what anybody ever saw in this guy. He wins, and he thought he won, and then Santino came out from under the ring because he was hiding for a while, and then he throws him out. I think this Rumble match is brutal. Brutal. Your WWE champion, The Miz, beats Randy Orton. Brutal. Eve Torres beats Layla, Michelle McCool, and Natty. Brutal. Edge, Dolph Ziggler, great match, but Dolph was not.
Everybody knew Edge was winning.
This is brutal, dude.
Yep. Everybody knew Edge was winning. I'll give you this. I don't hate the Rumble as much as you. There's aspects of this Rumble. I like how the Nexus protected CM Punk. I like how he kind of got in the corner and he used them together. I thought it was better than they could have with 40. 40 is just too many freaking guys, man.
Too many.
I thought it was better than it could have been. Yeah, I was the Edge. But the end, Del Rio sucks. And again, I hate this hide outside the ring crap. We were told, maybe I'm wrong, Ryan. We were told in one of those earlier ones, like, you don't have like something like 10 seconds or 20 seconds out, and you got like counted out and you were out. I thought I
Yeah.
heard that in an earlier one. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, and the whole thing with 91 that we talked about when number 18 ended up being Savage, you had your 2 minutes to get in the ring. If you didn't get in the ring in the 2 minutes, you're done. And they did that other times too, where guys didn't get in the ring, they're out. Well, then all of a sudden they changed that rule.
We talked about, or you talked about on here, 1s and 2s and 3s winning like crazy. How many guys have hit outside? Lawler, McMahon, I think Jericho did it one year. Santino did it this year.
Backlund.
But like, these guys roll out to the outside, get these insane time limits. They're like, oh, he's been in there 55 minutes. No, he's been in there 10. He's been on the outside for 45. It just that.
Well, and then they don't win. Vince did, but that was just the whole circus to begin with. But like Santino didn't win, so what was the point?
Yep, and it was so bad though. Here's how bad this finish was. I knew Santino couldn't main event WrestleMania. I was praying to God he would throw Del Rio out. I was like, please don't let Del Rio win this thing. Please.
I'm with you.
And then he went. I was willing to take Santino. I was willing to do what I hate and have Santino win and then lose that title in a match that costs him the Rumble, rather than watch Del Rio main event WrestleMania.
Right. And I like Santino. I think Santino's great. At that point, it was done. But yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he was a funny guy. But
this one sits to me. Curtain jerker or jobber, Ryan. I'll let you put it where it want. It's got to be one of those two. I'm not. It's bad. It's freaking awful.
Look at this guy right here. Look at him. This is where you're going, pal. Where you belong. Guy.
He's terrible. I'm happy with it there, man.
Terrible.
Because I think he's one of the worst people to ever hold the W. Here's where I'll say this. I'd rather watch JBL than watch Alberto Del Rio. That's how bad I think Alberto, and I do not like JBL one bit.
Well, they're the same character, kind of, except at least JBL can cut a promo.
Yeah. Without saying peril 45 times.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give this to JBL. I just don't like the character. He can talk. Talk. And so, I mean, I'll give him that for sure. I mean, this guy he didn't offer anything. And they immediately pushed him to the top. I'm like, why should I care about this guy?
Yeah.
This guy is just JBL. That's all he is. But he had a guy who you could sing along with while he came down to the ring. A guy in the, whatever his name, Armando Estrada, or whatever his name was, who was announcing him when he came to the ring. Like, what? So I can sing along? That's why he's cool? No, he's not good. Get out of here. 2012. We are in St. Louis, the home of Randolph Orton III. Or whatever his name is. Yeah, Randy Orton. And Sheamus is your winner. Not the biggest fan of old Sheamus, but he is your winner. They were pushing him hard at this point. You got a card of Daniel Bryan, World Championship. He is the champion. Taking on the two big fellas, Big Show, Mark Henry. He gets out of the cage to win it. Big 08 Diva tag match.
Match is not good.
Well, look who he's in there with, you know.
Right.
Kane and Cena are fighting. This is
match is not good. Match is not good.
The whole woo thing going on when Cena's boys with him and Eve Torres is his girlfriend and all that, and Kane, that's when that's going on. You got the Funkasaurus fighting Drew McIntyre, Punk against Dolph. John Laurinaitis is out there. I mean,
it's awful. I even have written on here wheat card. You've got Michael Cole in the Rumble slope.
Isn't this the one when all of them are in there? Are all of them in this one?
Jerry Lawler's in the Rumble. I'm looking down here. Booker T's in the Rumble. And again, for people,
Ricardo Rodriguez, the guy I was just talking about, not Armando Estrada. That's somebody else. Ricardo Rodriguez.
And again, here's another. People will look back and they'll maybe see Booker T. This is way past Booker T being good.
He was retired.
Yes, this was terrible. He lasts 4 minutes, 40 seconds. Jim Duggan's in this.
This
Karma.
is brutal. Karma. Look at these names. David Otunga. Yeah, look at these people in here. Ezekiel Jackson. Who's the biggest dude in here? Foley shows up. Is this when him? This is when him and Santino do the claw against the Sacco, right?
They pull out the puppets. It's a circus.
This whole
Rumble
thing
turns into a circus.
This was the worst one as far as making a joke out of this. You're like,
yes,
there's a world title shot on the line here, and you're making a joke out of this.
Ryan, put it at 5. This is Jobber.
This is the worst.
Jobber. This sucks.
Let me tell you something.
Terrible.
First of all, Sheamus wins. Sheamus is terrible.
Right there off the bat.
Second of all, this one, this is the epitome. This is when they reached the top of being a joke. Everything about this was goofy. You've got R-Truth in there. You've got Foley in there. You got Santino in there. They do the claw against Mr. Sacco. You got
I think Booker T comes down and does the spin-a-rooney.
Yes, he does. Karma. Road Dogg is in this. Like, this whole thing's a joke. The only other people that could win this are 28, 29, and 30, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, and Big Show. And they are in there for a combined 17 minutes. I mean, this is a joke,
I'm sorry,
man.
I know, and I'll give it to people. Jericho certainly rebooted himself at times. This was a lower time for Jericho, though. He was not going to main event WrestleMania. You did not think he was winning this.
He was not cool then, man. He was not at all. This is when he was kind of dangling there for a minute. And this is it. This is definitely it. 2012, he was dangling. At WrestleMania 28, he came back and he ends up winning the belt. And I believe this is when he fights Punk. Is that right? Is that WrestleMania 28?
Somewhere
2012? Yes, it is. He ends up fighting Punk. But then even that was the CM drunk thing. It wasn't good.
I'm sorry again. People are going to get, I have this one.
It's in the toilet.
Yep.
It's in the toilet. This one is not good, dude.
Yep.
This one is not good. 2013, we are in Phoenix. And your winner, it's been a minute for this guy, John Cena. He is your winner of the Royal Rumble, leading into WrestleMania 29. This is what set up the twice-in-a-lifetime match with The Rock, because The Rock defeated CM Punk in the main event to win the WWE Championship. So once again, we get Cena and The Rock, and Cena gets to get his win back in New York at WrestleMania 29. Team Hell No is the tag champs. They beat the Rhodes Scholars, and Team Hell No, surprisingly cool. That's what got them over, or Daniel Bryan got Daniel Bryan over and turned him into what it turned into there. But this The Rock Punk match was good. You knew The Rock was going to win. They tried to protect Punk with the way it finished, but the finish didn't work for me, brother. It was kind of wonky. I didn't like the way it finished at all, but it is memorable because, The Rock's there and he's fighting Punk, and Cena's your winner, even though you knew that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, Team Hell No is definitely over, and I thought Rhodes Scholars was a decent team. I really did. I thought they worked together. I don't know. Well, I don't think they were amazing, but it was all right. The Rumble itself is not great. It's not star-packed again. There's very few guys that can win. They finally let Ziggler go for 50 minutes.
Right.
But other than that, I didn't think he was going to win.
Well, once again, 1 and 2 go like the entire way.
Right. So they're going to copy the same thing. John Cena, I think we all saw him winning that because you knew that match was coming with The Rock. You knew The Rock was winning this. It was all falling into place. I don't think it's the worst Rumble. I don't think it's a jobber. But, Ryan, I would put it either a mid-card or a curtain jerk. I'd be happy with either one, but I can't put it into a two-sweet for sure. and I don't think I can give it a jobber either.
Yeah, to me, it's mid card or curtain jerk. I think it's
That's
borderline, just because of the strength of who won these matches. But at the same time, you knew who was going to win these matches, and I don't like the finish to the Rock Punk match. I didn't
and Del
like.
Rio's still a champion.
Well, in that case, curtain jerker. You have nice and easy. Curtain jerker. Del Rio beat it. And by the way, this is not some because of what he did to Paige kind of thing. Like that too. And the reason why he's in jail right now. That too. But 10 years ago, this guy blew also.
We've never
Ever.
like this guy could have
Ever.
been straight out of school with Mother Teresa, and I think this guy sucks.
I think he's terrible. And he's
terrible.
And he's JBL. Let's get into 14. Now, here's where things start getting interesting. Things get real interesting here the next couple of years. 2014, we were in Pittsburgh. If you're watching this, you probably know what happened here. But Daniel Bryan is over at this point. He's been screwed out of the world title a couple of different times, and people are getting pissed here. Well, he loses earlier in the night, clean to Bray Wyatt, which a lot of people were okay with because Bray Wyatt, especially with the internet, was over. And they were like, okay, so he beats Bryan. He stays strong. Well, then Bryan will come back later in the night and win the Rumble. So he can afford to lose that match. He'll come win the Rumble. He'll go fight at WrestleMania, and all will be well in the world. Sure. Well, that didn't happen. Daniel Bryan's not even in the Royal Rumble. And people are furious. Rey Mysterio comes out number 30. He was a surprise entrant, wasn't really with the company all the time, and they turn on the match. They just boo everything out of the building. Batista was the big surprise. Vince wanted Batista in the main event at WrestleMania 30 because he was going to be in that Marvel movie. What's the name of that movie?
Guardians of the
Galaxy. He's going to be in that. So he's like, dang it. Hollywood. Big star. Yeah, wrestling fans didn't care. They turn on this match. They boo him out of the building. You had Lesnar, Big Show, Orton, Cena also on this match. I don't remember the thing about that. I remember the Royal Rumble match, and people were pissed.
I felt bad for people, actually, because this was one, I wasn't a huge Bryan fan like everybody else was. I didn't hate him. I just wasn't as big, but he should have won this Royal Rumble. Daniel Bryan should have came in and won this Royal Rumble, which to me sets off a real bad taste in your mouth. I don't know where you would put it, Ryan, but I don't think I can put it higher than a curtain jerk. Do you? Or is it a mid card?
It's one of the two. Because the match is not bad. And the Royal Rumble match, Punk is number one. He does a good job. This is his last match in the company, by the way. Roman Reigns, the Shield is here. Roman eliminates 12 guys. He is just murdering dudes. It's him and Batista at the end of this, and the crowd is going crazy for Roman, especially when they realize that Batista is going to win. They're cheering for Roman to win. Oh, how the times changed 1 year later. But I thought the match, the Rumble match itself was actually pretty good, but you could tell that, wow, Batista's going to win this thing. Yeah, I would put it's borderline between mid-card and curtain jerk, but probably
Gonna go
probably
it is a good. I just feel bad. The people, they just did not want Batista, man. But it's not a bad run. And sometimes you don't always have to give the fans what they want. But this was one that didn't make the fans want to come get Batista for winning. They just didn't want Batista at all.
No,
But I mean, but the Rumble itself was good. It wasn't a joke. So I could see it being a mid card. I guess I could be persuaded.
No, I don't think you have to, because there's a reason people didn't want to see it. There's a reason people didn't want to see it. I'm
Ryan, it's
sorry.
what you always say. The taste in your mouth, man, when you go home is a
Yeah,
big part of the pay-per-view.
Hogan must pose, pal. Next year, things get even more rough for the company. You want to talk about turning. These idiots. So Bryan ends up winning WrestleMania 30. He gets hurt immediately, has to give up the belt. He doesn't come back until the week before the Rumble. For some reason, they put him in the Rumble.
Dumb.
He should not have debuted till the next night. Because unless he was winning the Rumble, they apparently have amnesia and forgot what happened the year before. Maybe they said, well, we'll put him in because if he's not in, maybe they're going to boo number 30 again. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, he comes in at number 10. He only lasts 10 minutes and he's out. And then it's obvious that Roman is going to win this. And Nick, the whole rest of the show is ruined. I mean, they booed The Rock when he came out.
They crap on the whole thing you could have brought Jesus through those curtains, Ryan, and they were going to boo him. Like, it was bad. Like, they were so pissed off, man, that Bryan, and why, again, like you said, why even bring him back just to throw him out of the Rumble?
Right. I mean, I don't know if they thought that was going to get more buys or what. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all, why they did that. I mean, they turn, and then that was part of the reason why Roman, even as a heel who's over right now to this day, I think he's still suffering a little bit from this because everybody knew. And CM Punk came out in a podcast and said, oh, yeah, make Roman look good, right? Make Roman look good. To this day, Roman hasn't lived this down. He's the chosen one. He's the guy they wanted. The Rock comes out. They cheer his music. Then when they realize Roman's winning, they boo the crap out of him. This is straight curtain jerk. The only reason it is not a jobber is because there is an awesome match, Nick, and it is Lesnar, Rollins, Cena, triple threat World Heavyweight Championship. One of the better, if not best, Royal Rumble matches ever.
It's a good match. The rest of the card's a little rough. New Age Outlaws and Ascension in the same match is just awful.
One of the best matches ever. That one of the worst ever.
Yes, that's the Fabulous Rougeos versus the Bushwhackers reincarnated right there. But again, it's not the Rumble's not star packed. I'm looking up it now. Ambrose, Roman.
No, you knew once Daniel Bryan went out, you knew it was over.
Yeah,
it was Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, once he goes, you're right, and he gets one elimination in there for 10 minutes. This one's and I'm with you. It's a curtain jerk.
2016, Orlando, Florida. You were at this one, along with 15,000 of your friends. The big one, AJ Styles comes back from the Bullet Club. He comes to WWE. He debuts at number 3. Place goes crazy. Actually, if you haven't seen it, they just put a documentary about this on the network, which is awesome. And if you're Bullet Club fan and Japan fan, they talk about it. So check it out. It's really good. But yeah, he was the big thing. He goes about 30 minutes in this. This was, Nick, though, tough because this is when everybody got hurt. Right before WrestleMania 32, everybody's out. The world title is on the line in this. Roman is number 1 with the title. Triple H comes out 30. He's the authority. He ends up winning it, setting up the rematch at 32 because they didn't have anybody else.
We remember we were going to go to WrestleMania, right? Yeah. We were ready to book our tickets, and then everybody started dropping like flies, and I'm not going to watch this,
right? And thank God we didn't. It's one of the worst ever.
In this, I will give credit to this. This is a good Royal Rumble for what they had to offer. The Ambrose and Owens match is a good match. I remember The crowd was into it. It was fun to view. The only problem is we had seen it multiple times before the pay-per-view.
Right.
New Day versus the Usos. Cool match. Two of the greatest tag teams last 10 years, maybe of all time. Alberto Del Rio is your United States champion. That kind of sucks. He's still on the card.
Kind of.
But what do you call it? Triple H ends up winning it. You knew he was.
Yep.
I mean, I remember I was sitting with people up in the nosebleeders. That's where I was at, and I, look, these people were like, who's 30? Who's 30? I'm like, guys, it's Triple H. How do you guys not know it?
Right.
They're like, how do you know this? How do you all not know this?
Right.
Like, he's coming. Like, there's no one else. They don't have anybody else. They're all freaking hurt.
Yep.
As fun as it was to watch AJ debut, and there's some decent matches, I think this is another kind of I liked it because I was there and I had a good time. But the Rumble itself is not strong with participants. It's all right. I would say a curtain jerk maybe could be persuaded to a mid-card at best, Ryan, but that's what I would go.
And it makes it interesting because the title is on the line, and they hadn't done that since 1992. Cool. So that makes it worth watching.
I think
that is the only reason why. But we would have been shocked if it didn't end with Roman and Triple H, and Roman gets screwed and Triple H wins the belt. We would have been shocked beyond belief.
But again, not their fault. It's all they could do.
No,
they didn't have anybody else.
Yep, no question. 2017, we are back in San Antonio, man. They love them some San Antonio. It's like Detroit with the Survivor Series, man. So we're in the Dome again, 50,000. And it is 2017. And we have a winner that kind of shocked a lot of people. It's Randy Orton. A lot of people didn't see that coming. Once again, Roman is the last guy eliminated. We did end up going to this next Mania, and the card completely changed. We thought we were getting Cena against the Taker. We thought we were getting all sorts of stuff that we didn't end up getting. But Orton wins this. People were not happy about that, actually. But it is a pretty good match. And this has, once again, arguably the best Royal Rumble match of all time. Cena wins his 16th world title, tying Ric Flair over AJ. Incredible match.
I think the card is good. Charlotte versus Bayley. Bayley wasn't Bayley yet. She wasn't the heel villain.
She just come up, yeah.
Right. So people were interested in her. Owens versus Reigns was cool. That was actually a decent storyline. Jericho was doing the list, or I believe.
Yes.
And he was above in a cage.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. Neville versus Rich Swann. A great match. Both those guys are doing well in other companies right now.
Yeah, they are.
AJ and Cena. The card on this one, Ryan, it's hard to argue. This might be one of the best cards in Royal Rumble history. As far as what you got from the storylines and matches on there.
Your two title matches are strong.
Yeah, they are.
They're strong.
They're really good. And there's people in the Rumble. The Taker, Roman Reigns, Goldberg shows up, Lesnar. Where would you put? I'm inclined to almost put this possibly in the too sweet category.
This is a borderline too sweet. And when we first started looking at this, I had forgotten about the shark cage match. And as soon as you mentioned it to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. And it was a comedy thing, but it's possibly the best comedy they've ever done. Jericho, that whole list, you're going to get what? Get it. Clicking the pen. He talks about it all the time. He got clicking the pen over, and Owens played so well alongside him. It was awesome. It really was, man. Those two guys were great together. And if you believe Jericho, that was supposed to be, he says, I don't know if this is true, the last match of that WrestleMania.
Could have been. Maybe, I don't
Yeah, it could have been. And then who knows? The Undertaker said, this is my last match. And then that changed the entire card. But I agree with you. And even though I don't like Orton winning this,
You didn't know he was going to, though.
yeah, well, word broke out that weekend, and I unfortunately read the spoiler, but
Oh, bummer.
You're right. It's good. It is good. And yeah, I would and will watch this again. I will put it too sweet. It'll be one of my last two sweets, but yeah, I think it's that good.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If not for the Style Cena match alone. I mean,
yes, it's phenomenal.
That is as good as watching the 92 Rumble. It's as good as watching the 2000 matches we talked about. It's that good. 2018, we're in Philly this time. Couple of years back, we've got a winner, and his name is what? Shinsuke Nakamura. The crowd loving this. Now, this is the first time that we have had guys and a girls Royal Rumble. Asuka is the winner, eliminating Nikki Bella. So this was, again, kind of a changing of the guard. Once Shinsuke had come over, he was in NXT for a year, got super over in NXT, came up, people were loving, they were like, okay, we're going to get this new style of wrestling is going to break in. Didn't turn out that way. After feuding with AJ there, he kind of fell off. But yeah, this was a changing of the guard a little bit with those two winning. Lesnar was the champion. He beats Kane and Braun Strowman, which to me is just throwaway. Cesaro and Sheamus, The Bar, they beat Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. The Usos are on here. Remember, this is when they had two titles again on each show. You had a SmackDown and a Raw, so you had two tag team championship matches at this.
The Styles match is not. I don't like the handicap. I don't like handicap matches.
Yeah.
I think it makes two guys look terrible.
Well, in Seth and it's against Owens and Sammy, who I can't handle Sammy as it is, but those two together, they're with each other, they're not, they're together, they're not. The Women's Royal Rumble closes the show. It's not terrible, but it was tough to watch two Rumble matches.
That's it.
And they didn't have the women's roster was not built up yet. So you had all the legends in this match as well. Lita, Tori, Molly Holly, Michelle McCool, Vicky Guerrero, Kelly Kelly, Jacqueline, because they had to fill this sucker out. It's fine. I think people thought Asuka was probably going to win. I don't know. This one, I'm mid-card at best on this one.
I'd even say, I think the card sucks, Ryan. I think the card, Lesnar versus Kane and Strowman, I don't want to see that.
No, I don't want to see any of those guys.
No one wanted to see that. And the other title matches, Styles versus Owens and Zayn in the handicap. I mean, I don't want to see either one of those. Nakamura, this is a guy, when is this guy supposed to be good? Because I keep hearing this guy is good.
Well, right now, apparently, again.
I hope, guys, whatever people saw overseas, because I just haven't seen it. He has a cool entrance music. Okay. So did Fandango. I can't give this. I mean, if you really enjoy it, Ryan, I'd accept a mid card. I'd probably more curtain jerk it, but
yeah, it's a curtain jerker to me.
That's what I was going to say.
It is an absolutely curtain jerk to me, and it's a long show.
This is when they started running like 4-hour pay-per-views, isn't it?
5. You got pre-shows too. It's just it's too much, and it's just too much. And two Royal Rumble, I totally understand. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a women's match. It's just a lot of the same thing. and that makes it tough. It's a lot of the same thing. It's no different than having 3 Hell in a Cell matches, or back when the ECW was around, they had 3 Elimination Chamber matches in one night. By the end, you're like, my gosh, all right, I got it. So now we're starting with the baseball stadiums now. The last couple of years they've done baseball. We're in Phoenix, 2019. We got almost 50,000 people in here for this one. Once again, we got a guys and a girls rumble match. The guys close this one out, and it's Seth. Seth is super over at this point. He wins his first rumble. Who knew that 6 months later he would be absolute garbage and have to turn because they've ruined him, thanks to Brock Lesnar and also The Fiend. But he wins this. He eliminates Strowman to win the guys match. You had Daniel Bryan against AJ in a pretty darn good match. Remember, Bryan is bad guy here. Really good match there. Brock Lesnar beats Finn Balor for the Universal title. Finn had never really lost his belt because he got hurt the night that he won it. The very first champ. Ronda beats Sasha in this as well. Asuka beats Becky Lynch clean earlier in the night. Becky has never beat Asuka. That's the whole storyline there. Becky, because she was in the match earlier in the night, is not in the Royal Rumble. Lana gets hurt. Becky decides to come down and just puts herself in the match, eliminates Charlotte. She wins. Then we go on to WrestleMania 35 and the triple threat match there. Nick, thoughts on the card?
The women's Royal Rumble match, I think they're getting better. It was an okay match. People are going to nitpick us. I don't like it when you don't follow some sort of guideline and rules. So anybody can just if somebody else gets beat up, I can just enter the Rumble and take their number.
Just ask a random referee if I can go, or she asked an authority figure.
When is that a thing? But and as soon as she entered, you knew she was winning. It was like you knew she was going to do it. The Seth Rollins Rumble's a pretty good Rumble. It's all right, but the freaking people in it are terrible, right? It's not a lot of good names, man. When you go down this thing, the Rumble's extremely weak. I got to go curtain jerker, and there's not these amazing matches that I want to see on the undercard for me. Curtain jerk.
Yeah, it's a curtain jerk. And don't forget the women's match. I don't watch NXT, and there's like 7 NXT people in it, and they're doing the Kofi moves in this match too.
This is the one where everybody did a Kofi move.
Everybody's doing Kofi moves now. And then by the time Kofi did it later in the night, it's like, I just saw 8 other people do it last year. There is some good and there's some bad here. I was shocked when we did our year-end awards, Nick. This won event of the year. Now, I don't know if that's because it was like the last big event, then the pandemic hit, and there was no fans at the rest of the events after that. But yeah, this one show of the year, there is some good stuff here, but I was shocked. Drew McIntyre, once again, for like the 4th straight year, Roman is the last guy eliminated. Drew wins it. Now, the story here was, what's his name? Lesnar, running the first 13 people. He's standing in the ring by himself. Finally, Kofi comes out, who he won the belt from in 5 seconds. Then Drew ends up kicking him over the top. Drew ends up going the rest of the way to win it. Women's match, again, I knew some of these NXT girls more this time, but this is when they were really pumping NXT. If you remember, they ran the Survivor Series. So here we are a little bit later. Like half of the Rumble is NXT.
Yep.
It ends up getting won by Charlotte. No one really, that was at the point where people were getting sick of Charlotte. Bayley beats Lacey Evans. The Fiend beats Daniel Bryan in a strap match.
How many times have they fought at the Rumble?
Just how many times have they fought?
Yeah.
Roman beats Corbin after their 8-month feud. There was a cool spot where he runs down the dugout and spears him. But this to me, if this is match of the year, 2020 must have been a real bad year.
It was.
It was, but I mean,
Ryan, I
This
like
isn't terrible, but it is far from even.
I like when the Rumble fills up. The whole point of Battle Royals to me is to get a bunch of guys in the ring really going at it. I'm looking at this, not counting Lesnar at 1. Number 2 through number 17, I don't think there's in the ring for 10 minutes combined, Ryan.
It might not be.
Number 2 through 17. If you add up the time those wrestlers are in the ring, I don't think it's 10 minutes.
Well, he was throwing guys out as soon as they came in.
He's murdering a roster, though, Ryan. He's murdering John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, Big E, Cesaro. I'm sorry, I like Cesaro. I like Big E. I like Kofi Kingston, man. Elias, they were pushing him back then. He ruins these guys. Like, he just fires them out, man.
Right.
It was cool when McIntyre.
Shinsuke also. Shinsuke lasts 20 seconds. Now this year at the Rumble, they expect me to think he's a main eventer all of a sudden.
It was cool when McIntyre eliminated Lesnar. The place erupted.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to
the
show
Edge return.
People, what's that?
The Edge return.
Yeah, the Edge return was awesome. The ending is. I just thought the beginning was terrible. And I get what they're trying to get Lesnar over. I'm just sick of guys. We get who Lesnar is. He's this killer. Does he have to murder the whole roster every time he comes back? I mean, just murder people. Like, why?
And that's what he does. And then he loses in 2 minutes at WrestleMania.
And is he really bumping your ratings?
Beats him in a second. No, he's not at all.
Yeah, there you go. Then stop murdering people for this guy. It just, I don't know. Some of the matches were okay, like you said. They weren't terrible. But again, I don't know, man. It's cool to see McIntyre win because I think the vast majority of us like this guy and think he's a really good wrestler and can be something. There's something there. Well, he is something, if you will. Ryan, I have a hard time putting this above a curtain jerk, though. Dude, I did not like this pay-per-view. I think the undercard is insanely weak, man. I really do. And I don't think the Rumble's – it's not horrible, but it's not great.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand. Becky, people love Becky, and she beats Asuka, makes her submit. I don't know if that's it. I don't know what it is, but I will never go back and watch any of these undercard matches. I won't watch any of them, ever. I'll watch the Rumble again, and I have. I don't know. I won't go back and watch the Women's Rumble again.
No.
I've watched the Men's Rumble once. I will never watch any of these. I will not watch The Fiend and Daniel Bryan. The Fiend matches are not good. Well, let's take a look at what we have here, Nick. We are done. We have made it all the way through. We have 4 lives. 2 of them I'm not surprised about. One of them I am a little bit. Well, let's start right there. We've got 92, 91, and 2000. Those are our 4 lives. At 2 Sweet, 1990. Then we don't have another one till 2001 and 2.
I'd be willing to renegotiate the 17. If you want to even, if we have to even it out, that would be the one on those ones in the 2 Sweet that I could see moving up.
2017, putting that up.
No, I didn't say that'd be the only one out of there.
No, it's not for light.
Then I can't see anything else in there because as much as my heart wants 90 up, the card is so bad, man. The card is so bad on 90.
Yeah, that is perfect right where it's at as far as I'm concerned. 2010, great Rumble match. That's in 2 Sweet. 2017, as we mentioned, great undercard. That's there. So then mid-card, just your, okay, these are decent shows. I'll watch these again. The first 2, basically just because they're the first 2. You can't expect, you can't have your expectations as high as they are today for those shows.
I think there's multiple moments in both those that keep them off curtain jerk.
Yeah. 94, 2003, and 4, and 5 are all in mid-card. And then we jump ahead to 16, which probably should be lower. But we're kind of grading that on the same scale as those first couple. Man, they didn't have anything to work with. They did the best they could. Some of these could go down. I think they're probably fine where they're at. Now we're at now, and if you look at what we have here, we have 3 at 4 Life, 6 at 2 Sweet, and 7 at mid card. If you add everything up, that is 16. There has been 33 Royal Rumbles. We have 16 of them in pretty decent to great. So half. We have half as watchable good shows.
I think as a teacher, that's what you're looking for when your class is too easy.
Right.
If you got too many up top, your class is too hard if you got too many down low.
Yeah. So if for those of who may say, "Oh, you guys hate everything," well, half of the shows are in watchable, so that's pretty good. Then the curtain jerk, man, we got a ton of them in here. I can't even do all the math here. Looks like 9, 13, or 12 in the curtain jerk category. 93, 97, 8, 9, all right there. Then 06, 7, 9, 13, 15, 14, 18, 19, and 20. Any of those, this should possibly go up one, Nick, or go down one.
Terrible today. I think that always nope, I can't. These ones I can't see, because these ones all have, like, you look, 93, you're watching Jannetty and Michaels.
And then in the jobbers, Nick, any that should move down. No. You said they can't move up. Any that should move down. We've got the 2 Michaels Rumbles, 5 and 6, and then we have 11 and 12. We don't think they should move up. Anything that should join them as jobber pay-per-views.
I think that we did a pretty decent job, Ryan, because I'm looking down the list, and each one of those ones out there, like I just said, there's at least one thing. Those jobbers, I'm never going to watch those again. There's no reason. If I came over your house and you had one on, I'm probably going to leave. I'm not watching these.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm sure there will not be many that agree with this. A lot of people think 2001 is amazing. There's some other ones in here that people are going to go, how do you not have that as an A? Well, this is our list. Tell us what you think, man. Which ones are we crazy for putting jobber? And tell us why. Which one are we crazy for putting for life? Tell us why. Even in the middle, man, if they should be any different. But I will say again, because people are going to look at this and they go, you only have 3 for life. We got 16. In A, B, or C, I look at as shows that are watchable shows. Absolutely watchable.
And if you say we only have 3 up top, we have 4 down low too. That's it.
We're going to let you go with the greatest Rumble, which we have said is 92. We'll let you go with a little theme music from that. We will see you next time. Thanks, Nick.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.